Now that you have a general understanding surrounding the regulatory allocation process, we are going to hone in on 3 responsibilities that councils have in regards to the school budget. These 3 responsibilities align to your budgetary role in ensuring that all students meet or exceed the state standards. On the screen, you will see the 3 responsibilities. So in regards to the budget, you as a council member have these responsibilities. Number 1 is to adopt and monitor the annual budget, making adjustments as needed. Responsibility 2, to use all of the school's resources, allocated funds, like allocated staff and time, to help reach student achievement goals. And then number 3, to request, most often writing, from the local school board additional funds. And these funds are commonly referred to as Section 7 funds. So Section 7 funds are the distribution of the balance. So if there's anything left over, then that's what those Section 7 funds are. So some schools will have these and some schools will not. So it's not a guarantee that there will be Section 7. But if you do have those funds available, there are some things to keep in mind with those that we will go over later. So let's talk about responsibility number 1. So responsibility number 1 is to adopt and monitor the annual budget and making adjustments as needed. So a good guideline for monitoring the budget is this: if funds come in and if funds go out, then they need to be monitored. So annually, the school council must adopt a budget for the school. And so multiple funding sources are available to the school during the budgeting process to keep in mind. But sometimes with state and federal funds and those funding cuts that can happen, those funds may be limited or unavailable to a school. So we never want to think that those are guaranteed. Funds can be overwhelming to consider. However, as an effective school council member, it is important that you are aware of the funds expended in the school and why they are expended in the ways in which they are. So at times, a budget may need to be adjusted throughout the year, and so those adjustments should be made based on what is needed to help all students succeed. So as I said in the beginning of the training, the number 1 goal of all SBDM councils is to enhance student achievement. And so that also is true of our budgets. So how we spend our money and how we budget that money should help our students achieve and help them exceed at high levels. So to make clear who is responsible for what with regard to a school's budget, it's important to distinguish the council's role with respect to the rest of the school community. So we are going to do an activity next, and this activity is going to link the role of with the budget to the person or the persons responsible for that budget. So you will be reading a role or a task in the budget process, and then you're going to decide who you think is responsible in assisting in that role. So you will decide if you think that the principal is responsible, teachers, parents, finance officer, or the Board of Education or central office. So remember that this is just an activity just to kind of get your brain going and just to be thinking. It's not a quiz, it's not graded, it's just going to be your best guess. And so use what you know and use your experience on council that you've had in the past to help you determine the correct answer. So again, just a guess, you don't need to get them right or anything. You're just going to give your best effort. Let me give an example. So if you were to read the task that said, create spreadsheets to keep track of all expenditures, then that would be the principal. The principal would be responsible for the council to keep the council on track. If you were to read a task or a role that said provides the council with an update to the budget, then that would be something that the finance officer would be responsible for. And that is something that we encourage all finance officers to do on a regular basis, maybe every 3 to 4 months, is just to meet with the council or the principal and kind of give an update on the funds that are coming in, the funds that will not be coming in this year due to budget cuts or funding cuts, and just kind of where the district is or where the school is as a whole, and how much money they have left to spend. Another good thing that the finance officer can do is kind of clarify how certain funds can be used and what they can be used on, because some particular funds do have ways that they have to be spent, And so that's good for the council to understand as they're deciding how to spend those funds. So you will read each task, and then you will choose the person or persons from the multiple choice options who you think will best, accomplish that role. And then we'll move on to responsibility number 2.